This is Music, and this is another deep dive into the Danish Demo Dungeon. So my eidetic video where I looked at the demo output of eidetic was received quite positively, so that encouraged me to do some more Danish Demo Dungeon deep dive videos. And in this one I'm going to have a look at the demo output of the Danish band Geronimo. Now, if you're interested in Danish rock music, by the way, Female Metal Fan has just started a series as well on Danish rock, where he shows, I think, less underground Danish rock releases. So far he's looked at Denner's Trick Bag and at some DAD albums. I think he's got more planned. So, but in this series, of course, Danish Demo Dungeon deep dives, or into the dungeon, I look at underground releases that have been archived in the Danish Demo Dungeon. So here we are again, looking at the entrance of the dungeon, the Danish Demo Dungeon, a website that has archived demo releases by Danish metal bands for the most part. Mostly from the 90s, but also from the late 80s, and a couple of demos from the 2000s, and maybe even later. So, but anyways, this is the front page, and the band that we're interested in this time is Geronimo. So let's scroll down and have a look. There you go, Geronimo. Clicking on it, here you see their logo. Looks like, very 90s extreme metal logo, I would say. Here's a band shot, Sepultura t-shirt. These guys look like nerds, interestingly enough. It's probably part of the image. Completely different appearance here, right? Here they look like an all-out metal band. So that is very interesting. Now, so Geronimo started out being a hardcore band, hardcore punk, and they ended up being a rap metal band. And ultimately, I could be completely wrong, but their claim to fame is that they were the band, the former band of a Danish rapper known as Johnny Hefti. I could be completely wrong, but that's, as far as I remember, that's the case. Just so, in case there's anybody who's interested. So there's that bit of fact. Anyways, let's have a look at the demos. Now the first one is this one here, the McKay dossier, and it doesn't say when it's from. But I guess we can assume that, because this one here, Journey to Oblivion, is from '92, and this one here doesn't say when that is from either, but we can assume that it's probably from the 1990, 91, maybe even 89, but I wager somewhere in the very early 90s. Anyways, so you got technically 7 tracks in this one, but the last one is just 30 seconds of silence, so that's nothing. And Ove Kjeld's jazz band over. That just means a jazz band rehearsing, and I guess Ove Kjeld is a person. Now, what we're dealing with here is, as I said, this is hardcore punk. This is very dirty. The production is very dirty. It is very rehearsal room-ish. Very noisy. The songs are noisy and chaotic themselves. It seems to be kind of like a concept going on. The McKay concept, maybe. I don't know. There's a song called Yuppie Bastard, so, maybe in the line of Dead Yuppies, the Agnostic Front kind of album. So that sort of mentality. Now, this is dirty hardcore punk. I think fans of old school hardcore punk will probably like this demo. It has all, you know, the anger, the sloppiness, the messy drumming, everything. The drumming is actually very sketchy here, to be honest. They make use of kind of like vocal or effects on the vocals every now and then, kind of like pitch shifting very high and so on and so forth. So it's all out hardcore punk. Right? Not a lot of metal here, to be honest, but if you like hardcore punk, you will probably appreciate this one for all its flaws, right? All the aesthetic choices made to make it sound messy and dirty. Now this one, a couple of words for you, is as you can see, there are like 20 tracks on it, although one of them is like two tracks in one, band song / and everything crumbled. So it's called a couple of words for you. This is still in the hardcore punk camp. There's not a lot of metal here either. There's still the kind of anger and aggression associated with hardcore punk. There is still sort of the sense of humor that was also present on this one here, right? So there's a sense of humor, which was also not kind of foreign to hardcore punk at the time. As you can see, lots of tracks. That means a lot of them are really short, but compared to this one here, right? The McKay dossier. A couple of words for you sounds much better. The production is more clean. The production would probably appeal more to a metal head than maybe a hardcore punk fan. The drumming has improved considerably. It's very tight here. A lot of the songs are fast, short, and in your face, basically. So yeah, again, sort of like typical hardcore punk of that sort of late 80s, early 90s era. This is much better, and I think both fans of metal, although there's no metal to be heard here, but fans of metal and I think fans of hardcore punk will appreciate this alike. I think fans of smoking weed would probably also appreciate it, because there's a lot of weed love going on in this demo here. They make use, it sounds, of two vocalists, both of which have sort of adopted kind of like a street-like singing, yelling, barking style here. So, and actually also on the McKay dossier. And what these two first demos kind of remind me of would be like early DRI, before DRI crossed over, right? So fun, hardcore punk. I prefer a couple of words for you for sure over the previous one because of the production being cleaner, the musicianship having improved quite a lot as well. But maybe, as I said, hardcore fans who prefer the more do-it-yourself aesthetic might appreciate the first demo more. Okay, moving on. This is the one, A Journey to Oblivion. This is where I kind of discovered Geronimo. They played a couple of gigs in my hometown, and I was actually introduced to them just by going to a gig where they played. And I think they were like two guitarists. Their bass player couldn't make it. He was sick or something. So they just had really down-tuned guitars. So the bass part was missing. Now this is interesting. A Journey to Oblivion, completely different style from the two hardcore demos. There are still hardcore punk elements, to be sure. Maybe a bit more crusty perhaps here. But this is death doom. Very sludgy death doom, so maybe it's really like sludge meets doom meets death. So only 6 tracks. The tracks are longer. They're more slow. They're heavier. They have, like, as you know, the doom metal slow beats. The doom metal kind of heavy, like ringing, one note, sometimes one string riffs. Really heavy stuff. Their kind of hit, I would say, is this one here, Bastards Will Pay. Now, so there's a lot of sludgy feel to this, a lot of doomy feel to this as well. Occasionally, they kick it up into some up-tempo kind of hardcore influences. Remember that in sludge metal itself, there's a hardcore component because one of the sort of influences was hardcore punk. So maybe that's where it comes into play. It works very well, I would say, whenever they go into up-tempo parts. One thing that might be a bit challenging to fans of sort of more traditional death doom is that they still operate with the two sort of vocals styles. I don't remember if it's actually two vocalists. One of them is still kind of the street, kind of DRI kind of thing, so more like tough guy vocals. The other vocalist, if it is indeed two vocalists, has adopted a growling, harsh vocal singing style. So there's a bit more, shall we say, variation in the vocals here. Again, I don't remember if it's like two people, different people singing, and I don't remember that from the concerts I've seen actually with them, because that was many years ago. But the growl style works very well. Now, as I said, this is Death Doom, a very, very good, crushingly heavy production, very different style of music, as I said, from the hardcore demos. This is really good stuff. This is my preferred demo release by Geronimo. If you like Death Doom, sludge metal, things like that, check this one out. It's their best, I think, underground release. I do like the next one here, but that's more like, it says advanced tape, so that's more like a kind of like, I guess, a promo for an EP they did. And what's interesting here is, again, complete change of style. This is where they went all out rap metal. Noise in the Hood and My Beloved Angel. Noise in the Hood was their hit, I think, from the rap metal era. And so this is an advanced tape kind of promoting an EP called Peace to the Chief, which is now rap metal. So the vocal style, the growls, and so on and so forth have been replaced with rap. And it's actually pretty good. I actually, again, I prefer this to the hardcore output, but I prefer the doom metal output to this one. But this is for rap metal. And remember, I don't have a problem with rap as a vocal style. I don't have a problem with rap metal either. A lot of it, when it sort of turned into new metal, okay, a lot of that is not very good in my opinion. But this is kind of before that. This is kind of like the, shall we say, Clawfinger, Rage Against the Machine. Although it doesn't sound like either of these bands, it sounds more like perhaps Biohazard. Remember, they made use of kind of shout rap as well. There's a considerable Biohazard feel to it, also in the riffage, the music, but the music, rather than just being kind of like hardcore-y, New York hardcore, like Biohazard was, there's a distinct metal influence on this one as well. I would say from kind of like thrash metal, maybe a bit of groove metal as well. There's some very cool, very heavy riffage, I would say, on these two songs, and that also applies to the EP. And there is a version of the EP floating about, except if it's been taken down on YouTube. So if you're interested in rap metal, you may want to check it out. But that was a look at Geronimo, starting with really dirty, sloppy, in-your-face hardcore punk on the two first demos, then A Journey to Oblivion, doom death, sludge, doom death maybe. But there's not really like a stoner feel to it. And this is a really great demo, I think, to rap metal. Again, I think if it's got to be rap metal, this is quality rap metal. So that was a look at Geronimo's Demo Dungeon output. So that was just a look at Geronimo's demo output. I hope you enjoyed watching it and, you know, seeing how they started out being a hardcore band, ended up being a rap metal band. As I said in the sort of preface, I plan to do more of these. So I plan to certainly do some deep dive demo dungeon videos on Eagle's Preach, their demo, Agonize and their demos, and also Rigid Domain and their demos, all of which are archived in the Danish Demo Dungeon. Thanks for watching.